Okay, Steeler fans, it's time to sit down here and it's time to make a decision with this game against another division rival, another longtime rival of ours against the Bengals down in Cincinnati, aka Heinz Field South. And your decisions are you gonna stay down on the ground, continue to whine and cry, continue to overreact about about one terrible loss to a bad team? And are you just going to forfeit the season? Or are you going to stand up, put up your dukes, go into this game and put up a fight and have some confidence in your team and think to yourself, yeah, we had a bad loss, but this season is far from over, and it is not over until we are either eliminated from playoff contention or until we lose in the playoffs. The choice is yours. Let's get on to this recap. Good Thursday, everybody. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. I am Mac, back with another video. As always, do me a favor, like, comment, subscribe. Follow me on Instagram. Link is in the box down below. So yeah, happy Turkey Day, everybody. Hope you stuff yourselves and get ready for a feast this Sunday, as it is the third of these four straight divisional games. We are halfway done with that stretch, as it is the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Cincinnati Bengals down in Cincinnati this Sunday afternoon at 1 o'clock to open up the month of December, aka the most important month of the NFL season, in my humble opinion, because that's when games start to matter more, and that's when playoff teams are determined. So, yeah, the Bengals, I mean, obviously, they are a longtime division rival of ours, as I said in the intro of this video. And, there was really only one period of time where I truly did not like the Bengals, and that was in the mid 2010s, about a decade ago. But other than that, I never really hated the Bengals. I just kind of always felt like that they were just there because there really hasn't been much of a rivalry between the Steelers and Bengals. We would just always beat them, you know? I mean, even when the Bengals were good in the mid 2000s, and like I said, in the mid 2010s when the Bengals were good, we just always beat them. We beat them twice in the playoffs in January of 06 when we beat them down in Cincinnati. I mean, personally, I think Bengals fans have a right to be mad about that game, but you know, that hit on Carson Palmer, I mean, chemo at the same time, it's like he can't stop himself when he's in transition of making a tackle right there. And chemo said he never meant to hurt him. And even Carson Palmer said it was an accidental hit. Carson Palmer said that he has no hard feelings towards Kimo von Oelhoffen with that hit. And then obviously we all know the the playoff game in January 2016 between the two. That was the game where I really thought that we lost it, but then the Bengals just self-destructed at the worst possible time. That was one of the most egregious chokes I've ever seen. And here's a fun fact that playoff game, I was getting ready to congratulate the Bengals for beating us, and that was actually going to be my debut video on YouTube about 10 years ago. But then that's when shit got wild. I don't need to sit down here and talk about it, but it is what it is. But yeah, I mean, it's never really been much of a rivalry between us. I mean, the Bengals did beat us 3 out of the last 4 times from 20 to 20 in 2020 and 2021. But we've countered that with beating them 3 out of the last 4 times. And, that's like I said, it's never been much of a rivalry between the two. But let's get on to this preview. I've already wasted enough time and I got to get ready to go. But anyway, you take a look at the Bengals, they're 4-7 on the season. and they could be a hell of a lot better. But the reason that they're being held back is because, surprise, surprise, their defense is god awful. I mean, you look at their defense, and that's where I'm going to start with them in this video. We all know what the cream of the crop for the Bengals is with their team, but looking at them defensively, they run a 4-2 under Lou Anarumo, and he's really heavy on disguise packages and blitzes. And you take a look at some of the pieces on defense the Bengals got. You got Trey Hendrickson, who's great off the edge. He's easily a defensive player of the year candidate. And our O-line right there has to really just take care of business against him. But that is definitely easier said than done. You got Logan Wilson in the inside. I think he's a good piece for that interior linebacking core. You got Jermaine Pratt also in the inside as well. You got former Steeler Mike Hilton, who's always been a real good slot corner. I'm still pissed off that we let him go that easily. But yeah, those are really the only guys on Cincinnati's defense to look out for, in my opinion, and it's for a good reason. But other than that, this Bengals defense is just awful. They're atrocious. They give up a lot of plays. They give up a lot of big plays. They allow a lot of yards. And, more specifically in both their games against the Ravens this year, which were extremely winnable games for the Bengals, their defense just fell apart at the worst possible time. And you look at them statistically, the Bengals are mediocre at best when it comes to every major category on defense. They're mediocre to just bottom of the barrel when it comes to defense. They're awful with scoring defense. They're awful with yards per play. They're awful with points per drive. And really the only thing that I can give them any kind of leeway for is that their red zone defense is okay. But like I said, that's the only positive that I can give the Bengals as far as their defense goes. And, that's just one of my keys to victory right there. That's the most important one for me, is that you just have to come out swinging and you have to dominate this defense right here. Because like I've said over the past couple of weeks with the offense, I do think it's capable of putting up a good game. It is capable of having a solid game. We've seen it in weeks past when Russell Wilson got the green light to go, and the Steelers were scoring points. The Steelers were moving the ball. The offense looked more well balanced. But I would say ever since the end of the Washington game a couple weeks ago, the offense is stalled. It just kind of seems like the Steelers, when we get past midfield, and especially when we get in the red zone, the play calling just goes away. The production ain't there. The decision making is bad, and we can't finish up drives. Okay. Arthur Smith needs to open up the playbook more because, like I said, I don't want to give up on Arthur Smith just yet. I don't want to, I don't want to come on here and say fire Arthur Smith after one season, not even one season, 2/3 into the season. So I'm not ready to say that just yet. But my patience with Arthur Smith is waning gradually as the weeks go by. Okay. You need to be more innovative on offense. You need to stop being so bland. You need to call the plays that are necessary to benefit both Russell Wilson and Najee Harris in this game and allow your receiver, your targets in Pickens, Muth, Washington, even Van Jefferson, if you have to, and please put in Mike Williams and please give him more targets. Stop with getting him acclimated to the team. He's been with the team for a month now. It's time to stop using that excuse. You need to call up plays that benefit the team. And I'm not talking about, a draw play on fourth and inches, or not using Russell Wilson, a QB, sneaking on 4th and inches, or lining up Cordell Patterson one-on-one in the exact same formation that you had the previous play when the Browns were anticipating it. Get creative on offense. Like I said, I'm not ready to give up on Arthur Smith just yet, but he has really given me Matt Canada 2.0 vibes, just with a little bit more variety. And that's what I mean by dominate this defense. Come in, clobber in that defense, because there's no excuse now. It won't be snowing down in Cincinnati, which is what a lot of Steeler fans love to blame Thursday for. But like I said, that's the least of our worries for that game, because the Browns seemed to move the ball just fine in the snow and in the cold weather, and we couldn't up until the fourth quarter, midway through it, no less. So there's going to be fairly decent weather down in Cincinnati. At least I think it will be. You're on a 10 days rest, and you're playing a team that's coming off their bye, so they had more rest than you. So really, the rest factor isn't really a benefit for it. Doesn't really, well, it does, but the point is both these teams are well rested coming into this game. And you have to show them that even on a 10-day rest, when you had 4 days less than them to rest, that you got to come in there and you got to still dominate the defense, expose their weakness, and show everybody why the Bengals are a 4-7 team. This is a desperate Bengals team that cannot afford to lose another game. Because if you allow them to win this game, you allow their defense to stand up in this game, and you give them any kind of confidence, they're going to beat you. Okay? And the Steelers have gone up against some crappy defenses this year, and we have not played up to par offensively. For example, back in week 4 against Indianapolis, they had one of the worst rush defenses in the league. Couldn't get anything going against them. Dallas Cowboys injured the hell and back on defense. Couldn't get anything going. Trying to think of it at the top of my head. I would say the only good game that we've had against a bad defense offensively was probably against the Raiders back in week 6. And even then we had some problems putting them away, despite the fact that we put 32 on the board against them. But yeah, like I said, you need to absolutely dominate that defense there. Secondly, you got to win the red zone battle. Like I said, Cincinnati's red zone defense is okay, nothing great, but our red zone offense is just hideous this year. There have been so many plays and so many touchdowns that the Steelers have left off the board this year because we couldn't finish up a drive and we couldn't score in the red zone. No more relying on the foot of Boswell, and no more, making the catch but not getting your other foot down. No more stalling at the goal line. No more stalling inside your own 20. None of that crap. This needs to be the game where you take advantage and you attack them inside the red zone. Period, point blank. So you got to win the red zone battle here. You take a look also at Cincinnati's offense, which is, the cream of the crop, like I said at the beginning. They're a run under Zach Taylor, who I think is one of the most overrated coaches in the league. And Bengal fans are starting to agree with that right there. 3 years ago, they wanted him to be coach of the year, and now they're starting to turn their backs on him. And I agree with it. Zach Taylor is the definition of a compiler. He rides so heavily on the high-end talent that he has, and he has no clue how to adjust to a defense and an offense, no less. He's terrible with decision-making. His game management is awful. He's basically a less successful version of Mike Tomlin. Let's put it that way. And I see why Bengals fans are pissed off at him, because I feel like he's cost the Bengals a lot of games this year. But the offense is run under Zach Taylor, and I don't think I need to say anything more about Cincinnati's offense other than Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase are putting up the best seasons of their careers easily. Burrow himself, he's a very shotgun-heavy type of quarterback. He's got great decision-making. He's got good mental processing. He's got a nice arm. And while he's not, he's not really a mobile quarterback, and he's not really a plus rusher, in my opinion, he is able to scramble in the pocket a little bit. But yeah, containing Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase are huge for this game because if you let those two beat you, you're going to lose this game. So that's my third key to victory for this one right here is that the defense needs to cause a lot of pressure. Defense needs to absolutely cause the pressure here. And I'm just going to say it because I don't think a lot of Steeler fans are talking about it, but it's come to my attention now. TJ Watt's been dormant this season. You know, sure, he's had a couple of good plays with stopping the run, and he's caused pressures this year. But as far as him winning Defensive Player of the Year goes this year, I don't think he's going to win it. I don't think he's a candidate this year because he's fully healthy this year. At least in 2022, you had the excuse with his injury, but he's fully healthy this year. But we've hardly ever called his name this year. You know, he hasn't really. I mean, he's had a very quiet year this year. So if TJ Watt cannot have a good game in this game on Sunday because he's going up against a weak Bengals offensive line, then I think it's going to be a big concern. And my voice on TJ is going to get a lot louder on him. But TJ Watt needs to really come to life here, so cause a lot of pressure and win in the trenches in this game here. As far as the pass defense goes, going up against a guy like Jamar Chase, who is probably going to be on Dante Jackson most likely, and then you got a guy like T. Higgins, who's probably going to be going up against JPJ. JPJ's been getting cooked a lot lately, so I don't like those matchups right there. Our entire pass defense against their targets, I do not like that in our favor right there, just being honest with you. Then you also got guys like Chase Brown and Mike Gesicki. Cincinnati's offense, they are the sixth scoring offense this season. They're 11th in yards per play. Their red zone offense is strong, and they are 7th in turnovers, so they do take care of the ball quite a bit. But our red zone defense can't keep allowing, touchdowns right here. Our red zone defense going into the Washington game was one of the strongest in the NFL, but ever since that game, it hasn't looked too sharp. We gave up 3 red zone touchdowns against Washington, and then Baltimore got 2 red zone touchdowns against us. Cleveland got a red zone touchdown against us in the final phases, and now you're going up against a strong red zone offense in Cincinnati. So, like that just goes back to my first point. You got to win the red zone battle here, both sides of the ball. As far as pass defense goes, I expect there to be a lot of zone coverage in this game here. More specifically, cover 3 and cover 2. I think that's going to be huge in this game here because keeping an eye on Joe Burrow and playing deep against their targets is going to be massive in this game. So causing a turnover and, making Joe Burrow try to bait you into throwing an interception, it does sound like a bad thing, but I think if the Steelers do it correctly, it can work in our favor here, But yeah, defense definitely has to come to life here. And like I said, as far as the offense goes, guys ever see the first Spider-Man movie? Well, this is what the offense needs to do when it comes to drives.
Finish it! Finish it!
Yeah, no cap. I mean, look, I believe we can walk away and win this game. All right. I'm not completely afraid of the Bengals. Okay. I'm afraid that if we don't play defense correctly, and if they allow Cincinnati to be in this game, it's going to be a long day down in Cincinnati. If it comes to a shootout, I'm less confident with this game. Okay. I'm worried about what our offensive line is going to do against a guy like Trey Hendrickson, because you take a look at a guy like Dan Moore on our offensive line who's given up 4 sacks in the last 2 weeks. That's just not good. Okay? This game needs to be won with the defense, in my opinion, being able to hold down this offense to under, I would say, 21 points. And this offense needs to score, I would say, more than 24 or more. That's my magic number right here. If it's a 24-20 type of game, I think we have a good I like our chances of winning. You limit the big plays, you limit the negativity, you're able to you're able to take on your assignments, and you're able to finish up on production. You're going to walk away with this win. If everything goes wrong and you allow the Bengals to play like the desperate team that they are, then you are not going to have a good game. So, Steeler Nation, like I said at the beginning, are you going to let this game scare you? You going to let this game, intimidate you? Or are you going to come up and go like, we've beaten this team before, we can do it again, and we can turn our season around after just a bad taste in our mouths in Cleveland? It's up to you guys. But if you're smart, you'd go with the second option. Anyway, that's my preview for this game. And like I said, it's Thanksgiving, and hopefully the Steelers can pull out some leftovers from Thanksgiving, and they can feast on the Cincinnati Bengals and come up with a 9-3 record. And hopefully the Ravens can drop a very losable game for them against the Eagles at home. But we'll see how it goes there. Let me know what you instinct down in the comments below. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. And I am Mac, checking on out for the day. Have a good one, everybody.